I thought we were starting the coffee with the counselors. I was remiss, I didn't post it online this month because I have a lot of other things going on, but yeah, so here we are on this blustery day. And Lois, do you want to tell me what you'd like to speak about? We're gonna go around the room and then go on Zoom and find out what people want to discuss.
Oh, just updates on a couple of things, if there's been any movement at all on the old school project. How that's coming, I mean, I think everybody wants to know that. And then,
The wall,
yeah,
okay.
and then
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to know what the result was of the trial that was held about the wall. The trial that was held about the wall, there should be a decision that should have been made by now, and
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what the decision would be, but I'm just curious to know what the actual outcome was.
Yeah, me too. All right. I can't see any of the names online except
So-
Dale.
Yeah, Dale, yeah.
Dale?
Well, good morning. Nothing for me that I wanted to say or whatnot. I just had about 30 minutes of computer work to do and thought I'd listen to the chat while I was doing it. So other than that, everything's good. Everything's wet. So that's it.
Okay, is there anyone else on Zoom?
You have Jenny.
Ginny? Hi, Ginny.
Hello, I'm here making apricot bread and my two pups are on the couch snoozing. I guess I wanted to talk about the school too. I did listen to the whole meeting about it, so I know what happened there. But that just seems like the starting point, that decision.
It'll be a good conversation to have.
Yeah. Okay, yes. I'd like to discuss that too. All right. Anybody else?
And then you have iPhone 3, so I'm not sure.
iPhone 3, is there, who are you? I can't.
You're muted, hold on a second. Can you unmute on your end? Still muted.
Not making it.
Nah, she's still muted, so we can't hear what she's saying.
iPhone 3, we'll keep trying and later on, see if we can get you through, but right now, you seem to be muted.
How do you mute an iPhone?
I think it's in the app, so there should be just a toggle for the mic on there.
Well,
It's just got the video is working.
oh, the video is right, yeah, I can't even see the video.
Yeah, the video is on. That appears to be a phone.
Well, we'll come back to you if we can figure that out.
I'm in the spotlight.
Yeah, well, there might be a rainbow. There might be a rainbow, but, okay, is there anybody else on Zoom?
We have Karen on there, I think she's probably listening or.
Karen, do you have something you'd like to address?
I'm just here for support in case questions come up.
And support is always good.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's start with Lois's question. The updates to the school, well, we had a big meeting about it, end of this past month. And it came down to a question if we wanted a park on that location or wanted an indoor recreation center. And it's sort of like, if it's an indoor recreation center, then maybe we save that building, the gym. But if it's a park, then we get rid of the building. So it seemed to me, though, that it's nothing definitive. It just seemed from the conversation that the council was leaning towards the park idea, though that doesn't mean it's a done deal or that that's the end result. It seemed to be that was the issue, partially because of money, partially because of the fact that it's in a very, very much of a tsunami inundation zone. That's why the school closed to begin with as a school. So, that seems to be where we're headed, but there's gonna have to be a lot more discussion. There were people who spoke and wrote in on both sides. Some wanted, we want, and it seemed to me the council wants an indoor recreation center as well, but just not at that location. That was the issue. That's not a good place to have it. And that if we were going to have one, we'd have to find a different location and really think seriously about options.
Yeah, I think the big question was. Can it save the buildings? And, I think. Most of us who know what it would cost to save the buildings. Recognize that, that's probably just not in the cards. With the funding that was rejected by voters, we need to look at something substantially different. And, so I proposed a budget at the, meeting on the 28th, that did not borrow any money, but it used the money that we have available, in that, Cannon Beach Elementary, fund, Neck Cruise Fund, as well as the money that's coming in, the tourism restricted dollars that were coming in, for the last 1.5% increase in TOT. And I think I put a little bit of money in coming from the Tourism and Arts Fund because they have a big amount of money in reserve at this point. And I think there are some things that would really fit with their mission, perhaps the art portion of whatever we do. But it just felt like we're in agreement. The problem with the recreation center, community center, a lot of people voiced that concern, and it's a great idea. And so, like Lisa said, I support that idea, but in my opinion, the restricted tourism dollars would not be eligible for use for something like that.
And I had a different take on that. I think he could use them, but my big concern really is, to tell you the truth, the safety of the location and the big cost for renovating that structure. I think it is a cool structure. I mean, I do think it's kind of, I don't think it has anything at all to do with, native culture, that particular structure. It's like someone mentioned, they arches, it was military structure, no, it's military architecture, not native architecture. So I don't think there's any native tie to that building. But I do think it's cool. I mean, I think the way it's constructed is really pretty amazing, the interior, but not amazing enough to spend all that money to fix it. And that's
What would it cost to demolish the building?
just $500,000? Or was
Not
that for
quite
both?
500, I
For
think it was
both?
between 3 and 4.
For both?
Yeah.
You remember, Bruce, what it was to demolish?
I had it here somewhere.
Yeah, I remember this.
While you're looking for that, I felt like there was good agreement. I mean, I presented a plan, Eric presented a plan, and, as much as, we might disagree about some things, it seemed like our plans were well aligned, that, we wanted something that certainly honored the historic site, the Native American village. It's a real opportunity, I think, for us. So we both agreed that an interpretive trail should be central to the plan, would circle the site and not only tell the story of the Native American village, but the environment. Probably an opportunity to talk about elk and try to,
Yes, that would be a question I would have too, is how you control the elk
You don't.
in your yard.
You just educate people on how to behave,
Yeah.
not to go up to them, not to approach them.
But I mean, they will desecrate the garden.
That's If that was it, and
So,
that was the
How do you,
original
how do
plan.
you
Plants.
prevent that from happening?
Well, there's a lot of plants that are not attracted to it, and that would be one of the things you would do.
But part of the idea is, a complete native restoration, planting of trees
Lots of
and
trees,
native plants, but not any kind of, formal garden.
Right,
But if you walk around the entire site, you would get some of that interpretive information.
yeah, I'm recalibrating my own garden, for next year, because because of what happened to it this year, I mean, and that's fine. 'Cause
No
that's
more geraniums or pansies.
At least not where they can be reached,
Or begonias, I might add.
oh, yeah.
I wanted to finish the other things that we seem to be in agreement on, adding parking. That's one of the things that people complained about the previous plan, so adding parking, including parking that could accommodate the farmer's market there. Once we get it out of core, busy summer or haystack rock parking. Adding restrooms, which are sorely needed for that area, by the would serve the people that are, all along the estuary on crazy busy days when families gather there. And the last thing that seemed like we were in agreement on is we want some covered spaces.
So
whether
covered
that's-
space, like a pavilion type thing?
Yeah.
An open air pavilion?
No, we haven't, we've all just agreed, it seems to me we all agree that whatever it is has to have a professional park designer. And that person would come up with various drawings for everyone to look at and weigh in on what they think is the most feasible within the budget that we set.
So just to clarify, if you demolish the Quonset, does that mean you'd also demolish the classroom area?
Yeah,
So you just demolish
Probably,
the whole thing, maybe take that parking and then.
unless someone came up with the idea, we got a letter about making that into the food bank. That this is the classroom building, I had no idea if that's even feasible, it's just an
and
idea.
I told Bruce that we should entertain
You
that.
could look at all.
Look at that option.
I mean,
Yeah,
my problem with it is,
and the
it's
rest-
just in such a weird location that then you're kind of trapping some dead area to the north of it. But again, I'm trying not to be the park designer. But it would probably be removing like half of the building.
To be the food bank.
Yes,
so that's a possibility, so there's all kinds of ideas out there.
but then, how does the parking lot fit and how does the traffic flow? That's again,
That's for a designer.
yes. But I think what we do need to talk about is what the next steps are. So it seemed like we were pretty much in agreement with those things that we talked about. But now how can we start moving on it? Because it's kind of one of my things. I don't want to keep arguing about this, for another 5 years. I want to see something happen and I want to see it happen for the community and for the historic site and the tribe.
The tribe is not, there was some talk about, or almost sort of like a undercurrent about the saving the Quonset hut. Or the, Quonset building would somehow, that the tribes wanted that, and that does not, when questioned directly, the architect who, was talking on behalf of the tribe, I don't know what his representation is, but anyway, what he said, Lawson, I think is his last name, he said that they're not married to that, they just want something that honors the tribe, whether it's building or parking, whatever it is, they would like more than a little sign saying, we were here.
John was very interested in saving it as an architect and he.
Yeah, as an
historically
architect, not as
significant,
a
but,
park member.
I think he was mashing up his interest and the tribe's interest, but the tribe clarified before the meeting that they think that decision is ours. And they would,
Right.
they're going to support it either way,
They're not-
and,
They're not married to the building at all. So,
So
but-
would the park in any way acknowledge the tribal influence of that
yeah,
area?
there was ideas of like, for example, if you closed in, one or two of the walls of a covered pavilion, you could have amazing artwork on the inside of it. I mean, you really could, you could commission tribal art for the inside. And the outside, you could design it in such a way that it's reminiscent of, you know, of buildings that, or structures anyway, that the tribe would have had. There's all kinds of possibilities along the interpretive trail. There can be not just a sign that says we are here, but signs really explaining the history
Yeah,
of the tribe and the kind of plans that they relied on. And I totally agree with formal garden is a ridiculous idea there. It's just not gonna work. It's beautiful, but it won't work. So a lot of trees, you know, things
and
that
this will all be funded through the lodging
through
tax.
money we, well, through money we already have and future
But
money.
those restricted dollars.
Yeah.
But the restriction.
I pretty much agree with Lisa that anything architectural there, you know, we should try to honor that historic site in some way and the native people. So whether that's, you know, through artwork or through some architectural style,
You know, I saw a picture that was great. At Portland State, they have a Native Studies building, and they have some pillars that support part of the structure. And the pillars they're just beautiful. They have native designs all over them, you know, like, you know, almost like a pole, like we had envisioned. So there are so many opportunities to build a structure to make it honor the tribe, I think.
if we do individual
Yeah.
picnic shelters, I think again, you know, I look at Whale Park and some of the details there that, you know, there's some kind of some tribal influence, but that's where we need the tribe also to weigh in. Because, you know, they don't want us doing, tribal art, that we think is appropriate.
Yeah,
We,
nothing like a bunch of white people doing,
Yes.
deciding what, you know, is tribal art.
or doing art that's, you know, from tribes, you know, Chinook or, you know, farther north.
Yeah,
The kind of traditional tribal art, so we're not gonna, you know, we're not gonna try to put our stamp on that, that's where we need their help.
yeah.
I'm also committed to, I mean, I would like to see some kind of group covered space. And, so kind of a group picnic shelter that would work every day, but it's protected enough that we could do some kind of education there. That's personally what I would like to
In the
see.
nice weather.
You know-
I wouldn't sit in a class in this weather, you know, if we.
Well, this weather may be one of those that's impossible unless you're inside, but I think a lot of weather, something protected on three sides. At least partially protected on three sides.
Well, that's again, we have to have a list of wants and give those to a designer. Designer tries to give you the best design to accommodate all those wants. And the list of wants should have community too.
But I guess,
Pardon?
I think iPhone 3 was able to get.
Oh,
you know,
iPhone 3?
Hi, it's me. It's Susan.
Oh, hi,
Can you-
Susan.
Can you hear me? Okay, cool. I wasn't going to speak about this issue, but I might put in just two little thoughts. One is the landscaping can definitely be done with elk proofing by using native plants, things that they don't normally eat. So I wouldn't worry too much about that personally. And the other thing is, if you have an open air pavilion or something, you could have panels that could enclose it in inclement weather, even canvas like a tent or something. So that doesn't seem like a big problem either.
Interesting idea.
Anyway, yeah,
we bring those wants to a designer and then let them
Yeah.
suggest.
A list of wants and get the community participation in that list of wants, and then give it to a designer and say, here's your budget. Make us something beautiful and see how it turns out.
Yeah,
make us choices.
Sure.
You know, I think that's a good way to go. You have, I agree that I'd like to start with a budget. And, you know, make sure we try and stay within it.
And that $6 million, slightly over $6 million budget that I planned, that we essentially have cash. We have cash or it's coming in over the next year. Was what that plan was. But to me, we were looking at either, saving the gym and doing nothing else. Or, making a world-class park and, although, you know, there were other ideas about doing the very bare minimum to,
Lots of ideas.
to save the gymnasium, but I'm not sure how realistic.
Yeah, this will come up again at another meeting and we'll keep working on it. I just wanted to ask about the wall. Lois, you sat in on the trial, right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so Bruce, could you tell us what the outcome is?
Yeah, well, the judge heard the decision, Charlie, and has said that he will make a decision by the end of November. Around 28th, that will, for the.
I said within 30 days, which is why I thought we should be able to see.
Yeah. And then he had.
I have a question that perhaps Bruce could answer. My understanding is that a court recorder has to record anything that goes on at a civil trial like this. So is there documentation available for the public to look at the transcript of what happened at the trial? Because I'm confused about a certain issue and I figured maybe a transcript would clarify.
I don't know, let me find out if there is a,
We have a clerk, right?
we do, the clerk's responsibility is, collecting fines and making sure that the judge has all the information they're supposed to get. I don't believe they do a transcript of the discussion.
Well, there's not someone sitting there doing, but isn't there a recording of the?
There's supposed to be somebody transcribing what goes on at any civil trial,
It should be
according to
available.
the Oregon website.
Yes.
Curious.
I haven't checked on that, I'll go back.
Yeah, I like to find that out too, Bruce, because I've never, ever been in court when there wasn't a recording, ever,
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Before we leave the school. Okay.
Well, we want to come back, let's just go through everybody and then we're gonna have, okay? And I just wanna make sure we cover everybody and then come back. Okay, Susan, did you have something else you wanted to talk about?
I did. I just have a question about the sewage spill at Gower. How did it happen? Why did it happen? And how on earth do you clean something like that up?
Karen, take it away.
The overflow was associated with a flow monitoring device that was asked to be put in our infrastructure to measure the flow levels within the Talabana and Gower areas to make sure that there's no obstructions in the pipe, things are flowing properly, and whatnot. This is associated with the federal lawsuit the city was served with, associated with the high bacteria counts out on the beach. And so because the folks that are suing the city feels it comes from our infrastructure, we're trying to find various methods to show that it is not. And these monitoring devices are one of those methods. Unfortunately, one of those monitoring devices became dislodged with the high rain flows, and it allowed for an accumulation of paper towels, flushable wipes, plastic bags, and things to accumulate that people flush down the sewer system. And it became a ball of obstruction in that area and caused the overflow. And there's a very specific process that we use to clean something like that up. It follows a DEQ requirements, Department of Environmental Quality we report it right away. We measure what the approximate overflow is, and the contaminated area around the area of the overflow is removed from the site and taken to an off-site location where the public doesn't have access, and it is treated with UV exposure. Sunlight UV treatment is what kills any contaminated area. So that's what has occurred. What prevents it is we don't put monitoring devices in locations that are designed to overflow if it backs up. We put it in an alternative manhole that doesn't have that type of a design where we can monitor it differently than where it was put in by this company. We hired the company to come put the monitoring devices in. This is not something the city does. These people do this for a living. And so they have come out and inspected all the areas where these devices are and assured us that this should not occur again. And that's where we are.
Well, that's good news.
And how do you clean it up, I think she asked. How do you?
Yeah.
clean it?
I'm sorry, how did what?
How do you clean it up? I mean,
So
do you,
the sand is removed from the area where it goes out of the overflow and out onto the beach area right around that outfall. Excavators came and removed sand, and there's a specific process they use, how deep they go. And then we take samples in that area to make sure there is no contaminated area remaining. It could be hazardous to the, and we turn all those results into the Oregon Health Authority and DEQ so that they can see what the contaminant level is or if anything exists. So all that has been done and recorded.
Okay, good news. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That must have been a fun project. Right, Karen? I mean, sure you weren't counting on that. So anyway, anybody else have any other questions or concerns that they'd like to raise with us? Is there any hands raised? Okay, I just want to make one comment.
Jenny,
Who? Ginny? Ginny, hand up?
Yes, well, first of all, I was going to say, I want to tell Karen how much we appreciate her, how she always does such a great job with such a positive attitude, and the city's going to miss her so much, although I'm happy for her to be free and be able to do all of her fun and interesting life choices. So Karen, we love you.
Jenny, thank you very much. That means the world to me. I appreciate those kind words. You'll see me pick trash up out on the beach as I enjoy my strolls.
Well, you're just going to have to meet us for dog walks for sure.
I'm sure.
We're gonna miss you so much, and I know you need the break. I mean, you need to, do something else, but I sure wish you weren't.
Thank you. You'll see me. I live here. I'm not going anywhere.
And then I wanted to give some of my thoughts on the school. Is now a good time, or did you want to circle back later?
Sure. So I just want to say one thing and then we'll go back to the school and I just want to clear one thing because we might not get to it. There's been a rumor circulating that the new city hall is including a big fancy marine laboratory.
Yeah.
What?
My understanding is that is totally false. Maybe Bruce can clarify that?
There's a small section in HRAP where they can do dissections and that sort of thing. That's just a part of HRAP.
Yeah, it's not a big marine laboratory or, okay, wait, thank you. All right, now, Jenny, about the school.
Well, first of all, I was going to say on the indoor recreation, of course, we'd all love an indoor recreation site. And I think we're all curious how Nehalem was able to afford 2 of them. I think they're closing down the first pool, but in reality, they have 2 swimming pools. So that's just one thought. But then I was wondering, as to the food bank, when we were looking at the school before, it seemed like it was going to cost more to not demolish it, but try to upgrade it. And maybe for the food bank site, it would be better and they would get exactly what they wanted if we did demolish the whole school, including the classrooms, and gave them, you know, exactly what they need or want there. And then I do feel like taking out the school and the gym is just going to be so much better for parking. That's where the parking needs to be, you know, right off the street there. So I'm glad about that. And as to the picnic spaces or pavilions, I agree with Susan that you would definitely be able to do something that has open sides, but also has some kind of siding you could put on, whether it's something like garage doors or the expandable kind, or just canvas that you hook on the sides when you want it. I think there's probably something we can do. And I feel like some of the designs that were in the packet for the school meeting did show an arched roof, which then does pay homage to the old school, as well as possible native longhouse designs. So that's my thoughts on the school.
Yeah. I'd be curious to hear from the I don't know I don't know that much about native architecture. I've never seen any that have arched roofs like that used an arch, but that's something that I can't answer. They would have to answer.
And I can't say I really know. It just seems like when I looked at some of those, it just brought to mind a native structure. I mean, certainly that arch design, it goes way back in history.
To the Romans.
It's the strongest, you know, structure, that arch design, but I don't know about that either. But, and I do think your idea, Lisa, of carvings on the pillars is great. I mean, I love totem poles, obviously being from Alaska, but even just designs painted or etched on there would be really attractive.
Yeah, that building, you look it up online, the Portland State, can't remember if it's called the Native Heritage Center.
Native Studies.
Pardon?
Sorry, I
In
didn't know I
Anchorage,
was.
in Anchorage, it's the Native Heritage Center.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called at Portland State, but it's really interesting building. Parts of it I think are very, very nice, but anyway, yes.
I just have a question. I'm thinking about the Quonset and building a pavilion. Are there any elements of the Quonset that could be salvaged to be reused in building a pavilion that would
Like the
pay
wood.
homage to?
Like the wood, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
or any other elements. I don't know what it's made of really,
You know, yeah,
besides of, you know, a tin roof or whatever, but.
yeah. That's possible too.
I had that question, and I'm not sure, sometimes those salvage efforts, make things more expensive. But it's possible. It's
Yeah,
something that-
Well, if there's good wood in it
Yeah.
somewhere that could be salvaged without a huge.
And there aren't
project.
really like big, huge beams in there, is,
There aren't, you see,
no.
there no. How about the flooring? Somebody said the flooring was quite beautiful.
that's possible, it's
Yeah, I
possible.
don't know, it's-
Again, that's what,
I don't know how it can be reused, but I'm just thinking if there's any way to do it,
And I
maybe
think-
it's something that could be looked
I
at.
think that's something to ask a designer, like a want. Is it possible, or would it be feasible, or is it economically viable to,
Sure, Yeah.
reclaim some of the structure for new structure? That's a great, I mean, I love reclaimed wood, I think it's wonderful, so,
yeah.
yeah. And did you want to say more?
Some of it is just probably a question for Bruce, but
Okay.
we kind of seem to agree on a path forward, but, I'm not sure what the next steps are, so, I mean, how can we go about looking for a park designer? Should there be a committee? you know, what are the actual next steps? Is it gonna be on an agenda so we can keep some momentum and get this done?
I think that once the council has a, concept that there's general agreement on, then, we need to check with some designers to see if the cost is gonna be more, the fee will be more than $250,000. If it's more than $250,000, you have one selection process. If it's less than that, you could just do it with the bid. So we'll need to, deal with that. It is over the $250,000, it's gonna take 3 or 4 months to go through the process. Because you have to put out a document that details what's going on with the project. They have to respond. You guys have a meeting with them, then they respond, then you have, you know, it looks at the proposals and make a selection for who is the best and most qualified. Sorry.
It would be great to have an open meeting, a community meeting where people would be able to get input on what they'd like to see in the park. Just so we have some idea of what some of those wants are.
Everybody that, got a side about it.
Because, well, the wants are gonna determine the budget too. To some extent, so I think we, you know, if we're gonna get a designer and have a specific budget, it'd be nice to just have some idea of what people would like to see happen. I think that's very important. I think that the more public input we have, the more opportunity, the better off we are. Cause I don't want to see what happened, if it's avoidable. I think people have to participate. You can't force people to participate, but maybe this time we'll get a lot of participation from the community about what they'd like to see in a park. Because they learned from last time that to not participate just makes a big mess, you know, so.
So did you feel like you heard that consensus, or do you feel like we still need to have some kind of official vote to begin moving it forward?
Oh, I think we need a vote. I don't think, I think there was a lot of people said, well, that sounds pretty good, but I don't think that there's a official consensus yet.
Okay, so can we get that on the calendar?
Yes, it's on an upcoming meeting.
But we gotta publish, you know, I mean, make sure people know we're interested, so they'll show up and speak. And I know that there was somebody yesterday at, you know, at public comment who felt like the council wasn't responsive to what people were saying, and I was really puzzled by that, because at the end of the meeting, we considered, you know, making it the park idea and acknowledge the design for an indoor recreation place at some point, and so I'm not really sure what more we can do. I mean, we're not allowed to have a back and forth. That's just not the way a council meeting is set up during the public comment. It wouldn't work, because we'd spend probably 3 hours just doing the back and forth public comment. So the way it's set up is for efficiency. And then at the end of then during the meeting, or during the discussion, we discuss pretty much everything people suggested. So I'm not really sure why there was that feeling. I've encountered it before, and I think it's the sort of fact that we can't respond or ask questions during public comment that creates the feeling that we're not listening. But we are. So.
Well, and Eric's plan, started with looking at all the public input and everything that people wanted, and I felt like my plan also looked at everything that people have told me that they wanted as part of the committee and through all the public process and.
But that was from the old, you know, that was from before. That was the one that went to election and people said they didn't get to speak and they didn't get to have input, and we had an election and it failed. So I think that you gotta have another chance for public comment. I mean,
Yeah.
several,
I think.
yeah. because
I think there will be,
I-
naturally, it's all going to be public meeting.
I do agree that that survey was flawed. Because
Yeah.
I don't believe for a second that the majority of the people in Cannon Beach's top priority is pickleball,
Yeah,
you know.
I think that's one of the problems with that, and, if it's not somehow, controlled or, a list of options, then you start getting, things that are feasible or workable under the budget, but I'm assuming that any public process we go through is going to, we can hear all of that.
We can try our best.
Yeah, and, the other thing you had, having people speak before we hire the architect, that can be done.
Say it again?
That can be done. Is the, having people talk before the, you hire the architect.
Yeah, I think that's important. Because I think that the architect would want to have some vision of at least what we're asking for,
Sure.
you know. And come into the process with that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think the more public input, the better. I think we did try it the first time, but it didn't work, so we'll try again.
Got more things on your list?
I don't,
Uh, I, uh, I, a couple of things that people may be interested in. We've hired a new development director. Or we've hired an old development director
But you,
or a previous development director.
yes. Yeah, so it'll be coming back.
So Jeff Adams is coming back. Kind of a surprise. And what's the time frame on that?
You'll be working remotely, probably 2 weeks. And then he'll be here, first week of December. First,
So mid-December, he's back.
he's in the office.
And then I was wondering if you've ever done any comparisons with the Manzanita City Hall. Cause I keep hearing these things that seem to think that we're Manzanita and that we should have a city hall the size of Manzanita. And have we done any comparisons about budgets and about number of employees and things like that, cause I get asked that question and I don't really have those facts at hand to be able to say, well, we have 20 more employees than the city of Manzanita, which is a reason that you need 20 more office spaces. Has that been done, or is that something that is?
Not that particular comparison, but it would be hard to do.
do you know how many square feet bigger our new city hall is than the old city hall? I remember asking that question before and I got an answer and I don't remember numbers. So what was the number? How much bigger is this new city hall than our old city hall square footage wise, do you know? Or how much more space it takes up? Lot coverage.
I think that it takes up 25% more. Because the city hall itself will be roughly the same size as the old city hall. And the big difference is that the police department will be in it. And so their, that building is about 4,000 square feet, and the original city hall and police station is about 16,000. So we can do that comparison. I don't know where to catch it.
Yeah, I don't expect, obviously they've got someone in Manzanita who's complaining about their cost and. So it happens everywhere, but I just wanna be able to answer the question about, why we have a city hall that is larger or costs more, but. Fire?
I definitely
Sounds like you're looking for justification to be able to respond.
Yeah, I want to be able to answer that question.
Knowledge.
And if it's a concern people really have, I would just like to be able to, answer it in a way that people get it, that Cambridge and Manzanita are very different.
Yeah.
I mean, even though we may have the same number of residents, I think that there are some things that
Well,
set
let's
us
have HVAC.
very much apart.
We have
HVAC is one of
HVAC. They
them.
don't have an HVAC. They don't have a program for, beach protection. So that's one thing, and
And we have a,
very different public works issues than Manzanita too, I believe. So we.
because we have such a major tourism industry, we have a lot more, services that have to, from public works to police to,
Right, we have 2 bathrooms, they're trying to build a third, possibly, and, they don't have that. It just, there's different needs, I don't know about whether we have to do more seismic upgrade in our new city hall than they had to do in theirs, I have no idea.
We chose to build both buildings to a level. I think it's category 4,
That's what I thought,
the
yeah,
term category. And we built both of them so that the buildings would be operational after a major event. And Manzanita did the police station, but not the city hall.
so, okay, so just to clarify, so our city hall and police station are both built to category 4 for earthquake. Protection, whereas Manzanita's, only their police station is built to category 4, but their city hall is not.
City hall is built to the normal code, but not the category.
So it would seem to me that that would have a lot to do with the price. That if you're building to category 4 and and Manzanita's building is not, that would account for a lot of the price difference. So. That's, yeah. That's kind of what I was saying, but it's just a different building.
all very different towns.
Anybody else have a question or concern they'd like to raise? No hands?
Jenny has her.
Oh,
hand up.
okay.
Minutes.
I have one thing, but it might be too big to start now. It seemed like at all the council meetings for a while, the code audit was brought up at every meeting, whenever work was going on, committees and all that. So what's happening with the code audit right now?
Well, I know we're gonna have I mean, this isn't about code audit, but it's about the little committees. Yeah, and they aren't committees, they're just focus groups that are working
Focus
on
groups, yeah.
various code audit projects. That is on hold until we get a more clarification from our city attorney on exactly if it's possible to go forward or not with any of those focus groups. It seemed to me, from what I read of what was written, that there is a way to go forward, not in the same format we did, but in another format. And I'm hoping that maybe our, new planning director also, I remember from before, he was very interested in code rewrite and really wanted to, he seemed to want to play a hand in it. And so if he was to take a more active part, that would make everything much easier. And, especially like for the shoreline stuff, I mean, it would be great. And, because it has to be done. I don't know who's gonna do it at this point. And so, I think, I can't remember what, it's sometime in November, I believe, or isn't it November, we're gonna have the attorney online so that we can discuss how, if these focus groups can go forward, or, and if so, how they can. So right now it's on hold until then. And as far as the housing, code audit, I don't know. I haven't heard anything from or there's nothing coming forward from Marcy or the Herbs Board, so I don't know what are you on? I can't hear you. Bruce.
I'm sorry. I can hear you fine, so that's why I think it's quiet my voice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can get you an email on that, with says.
that would be great. That's a great question, Jenny. It's sort of, these things sort of fall
Right.
away from your consciousness when new stuff arises and things that are really important sort of disappear. And so I'd like to know that too.
Yeah, some of the things that had nothing to do with even the herb works or the focus groups. I mean, like some of the short-term rental changes.
They're supposed to be back on the agenda. It was my understanding is that a new ordinance was going to come back in front of us, right?
Mhm.
From the city attorney.
Mhm.
And then again, I don't know when that is, sometime in November or December was my understanding,
That one's, yes, I think that one's
on the horizon. Yeah.
Yeah.
everything goes at, a glacial
Snail
pace, it
pace.
seems like, but, the ones with the,
And the fire pit one too, that
Yeah.
also supposed to come back in front of, with a comprehensive, ordinance or suggested ordinance, and we haven't seen that yet either,
but
so.
the focus group, the ones that have the focus groups, the
Right.
housing, the trees are delayed a little bit, because we wanna make sure that we move forward, in an appropriate manner.
Right.
So it's like, how can we use, the valuable things that were created in those focus groups, and what's the process to go about that? So, people sometimes think that we're ignoring them, but we're not. We're trying to figure out,
Right.
through attorneys, what the appropriate way forward is.
There's just so many things on the agenda, and they're piling up, like the focus groups, like the, fire pit regulations, like the short-term rental regulations, so it does feel like everything's piling up, and I like to be reminded of all the things that are on the back burner, because it's hard to keep track of them. I started thinking I should keep a list,
Yeah.
really, of the back burner items, so that I know that I can keep recalling them and
Well,
remembering what.
It's fresh for all of us, but the shoreline stabilization thing is one that needs to be dealt with, and.
I'm hoping Jeff will take a hand in it, because I know he started to before he left. He was
That's why,
really, he was working actually with, I believe he was working with some of the local groups who were, to try and get their take on it and how they would like, just to sort of get a whole range of options, and maybe I'm hoping he'll take the reins of that again.
that was one thing that I was excited to hear, that he was coming back, because I knew that he had
He's
been looking at that,
yeah.
and so it was like, yeah, we have lots of priorities, and and they all seem to take longer than any of us think they should.
Right,
But
and he's definitely a workaholic, he has the energy to do it, so hopefully he will.
Are you guys having a retreat this year?
Yes, in December. December, what's the date? Does anybody have it on hand? Okay, it's mid-December and it's on the city website. There's so many meetings, I can't remember the date of that. But it's a whole day followed by a half day. So a Thursday and a Friday in December, mid-December. So that,
and retreat is a real treat, because we meet in this room.
Yeah.
So not much of a retreat, but a very concentrated way to kind of reassess where we're at on priorities and.
right.
Well, I hope they feed you well.
Yeah,
I think we get lunch.
Yeah, no. Oh, come on. But there's gotta be
so
some.
that's my least of my concerns. I feed myself pretty well.
18th and 19th.
December 18 and 19.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
December 18th and 19th, Jenny.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else that anyone wants to bring up or ask about, or? since we have Karen and Bruce here? Okay, well then I'm gonna adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming, through Zoom. And really, Lois, you were intrepid coming out in this weather, so thank you. And, we'll see you. the
See, it's not
first-
blowing as much now.
I know, yeah, maybe it's coming up. We'll see you the first Wednesday of December. I'm sure there'll be a lot of stuff to talk about, because